I want to share an idea with you as we close. Sometimes you and I misunderstand what's happening. You think something. Wait, why? Let me share several ideas with you here. Really, the story kind of goes like this. Jesus, He came to this earth. He lived, He loved, He helped the people. That song, Jesus, He said, I love you, I love you. Jesus, when He was on the cross, He died. People took Jesus and they crucified Him and He died on the cross. He suffered, and Jesus was thinking about you and about me. But the people, when they put Him on the cross and they said, He's dead. Wow. It was a sad day. His disciples looked and said, He's gone. His mother looked and said, My son. The devil said, finished! Jesus finished! But I want to show you two words. The Bible says, but God. But God. But is a good word. You think, no. But the truth is here. And the truth is, the Bible says, but God raised Jesus from the dead. God raised Jesus. People thought, that's so sad, it's finished. The devil thought he had won a victory. No. But God. But God. God, Jesus Christ, is alive. There's another story. The story's about me and you. Here I am, a person, a sinner. Don't know about Jesus Christ. Really, the Bible explains that for a good man, for a good person, maybe a person will give up his life and help a good person. But the Bible explains that you and I are not good people. You and I are sinners. We're terrible. You and I really are worth nothing. Aren't you happy you came to hear that? But the truth is, you and I are worthy of nothing. I should go to hell. I should accept punishment. I should never touch heaven. There are deaf people here in this world that will never hear about Jesus Christ. Just recently we were in the Philippines, preaching to deaf people there. How exciting it was. 79 deaf people accepted Jesus Christ and got saved. One of those people was a little boy that was 6 years old. He was deaf. His parents were deaf. And he accepted Jesus Christ and got saved. Hey. The fact is that little boy was a sinner. And you and I as sinners, wait. But God showed His love toward us. In that while we were sinners, Christ died for us. There's another story. Me. I'm not a good person. Jesus died for me, but I'm not worthy of His love. I'm not worthy. I cannot do good and improve, and God will say, okay, fine, now I love you. Love doesn't work that way. And God has much mercy. And the Bible says, but God, who is rich in mercy, He hath quickened. You see, my life was separate from God. My life was dead without God. My life was nothing. Understand, I'm not talking about me. And I'm not talking about you. There are deaf people out there in this world that need our hands. That deaf people that need new life. Deaf people that have no life. God gave me life. It's like going this way, and God gave me life, and now I'm changed and going this way. God's great mercy. And God gave me life. But you don't understand my background. You don't know what I did. You don't know my background. You look, you see John Barr. I'm wearing a black shirt. You know, looks fancy. You don't know my background. And I'm not going to tell you. Maybe you're here in this room and you think, my background, God can't use me. I've done too much bad. I've done too much wrong. God can't use me. When I stand up to interpret, or when I stand up to tell people about Jesus Christ, my background just keeps coming back. And I think about it, and it bothers me. And I know the sinner that I am. Maybe you have in the past experienced abuse. Let me tell you, there are deaf people in this world that experience a lot of abuse. It is abuse when people ignore deaf people. It is abuse when they, oh, you're deaf. Oh. That's hard. Maybe in your background, you have experienced somebody has hurt you, has crushed your heart. And you feel like, I am worthy of nothing. I cannot do what's right. Do you know there's a story in the Bible that's the same as that? There was a man, his name was Joseph. Joseph. And his brothers did not like him. And his brothers took him and they threw him into a pit and they said, finish. But then his brothers had this idea, wait a minute. There are people that are going to Egypt. We can sell him and give him and get rid of him. And we'll take his coat and we'll kill an animal and we'll put blood on there and we'll show the father and say, he died. And they had a plan. And indeed, they took him and they sold him and he went over to Egypt. And Joseph was abused. His brothers abused him. And when he arrived there in Egypt, it was terrible. Going along, and then he worked his way up, and then Pharaoh, his wife, said, I like Joseph. Come, be with me. And Joseph, and he ran. He was trying to do what was right. Maybe you have been trying to do what was right. And somebody came at you, and you feel terrible. You feel like it's a kind of abuse. You feel like it's just tough. Well, Joseph left, but she caught his coat. And she accused him. It happened that Joseph was thrown into prison. It was not right, but it happened. And then later, eventually, Joseph, as he interpreted dreams, and the story is a long story, but eventually, Joseph became the second ruler in the kingdom of Egypt. There was a famine in the land of Israel. And Joseph's brothers came to Egypt. And they were going to ask for food. Joseph, when he saw them, he knew who they were. He knew them. They were his brothers. Joseph's face maybe was different. Maybe he had a bald head. I don't know. But he was different now. They did not know his face. Eventually, Joseph said, all the people get out. brothers, look at me. Look who I am. And when they noticed who he was, that's our brother. They were afraid. They were scared to death. They thought that he was going to kill them. He thought that he was going to take revenge upon them. Joseph loved his family. But they knew that they had abused him, and they knew what should happen is that they should be punished. But I'm so glad when you think that things are happening wrong, there's this verse. It happens, it happens, it happens, and you think your background is terrible. God can't use me, and God is saying, no, you're the perfect one. I need you. You're the person. You think a deaf person has laughed at me, maybe you new signers, and you sign something, and you sign it wrong, and the deaf go, you know, and they laugh, and you get crying, you want to leave. Or maybe another person has indeed abused you, or you have a bad background. Other people mean bad, but God means good. God means good for you. Understand that sometimes you become tempted. There's a habit. It's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. The times that you are tempted, the times that are hard for you, the times that you don't know what you're going to do in the future, the times when it's tough, look, watch. There's a but God for that. But God is faithful. God will not let you be tempted more than you can. When you face problems, you face in your deaf ministry, I don't know what I'm going to do. You face an awkward situation, you don't know. There's God in heaven, and God is faithful. He will not stop. Maybe you're a planner, and you say, okay, when I finish ASLI, I'm going to go home. I've got these plans. I'm going to build my deaf ministry. I'm going to do this. I'm going to teach. I'm going to change. That other interpreter lousy, I'm going to kick them out. I'm going to take over. I'm going to, maybe you have that idea. I hope not. It's a team effort. We need each other. But maybe you have plans. There is a warning, but God, in the Bible. Not all of the but gods are good. There's one that's a warning. There was a man that he said, I'm going to tear down. I'm going to build. I'm going to make this. I. When you sign I too much, that's a problem. When you plan I too much, that's not good. And God says a but God for this. But God said unto him, there's a word there that's used. It's not yellow, but there's a word there that's used that says fool. If you become focused on what you can do only, it's foolish. We need the Lord. As we leave here, we need the Lord to help us. When we go back to a deaf ministry, we need God with us. We need to be with God. We need to be dependent on Him. Because actually, you cannot say in your deaf ministry, this is my ministry. It's not my ministry. It's not your ministry. It's God's ministry. God has allowed us to be involved in His ministry. Think about that. It's His work. It's His ministry. Maybe you have one person that interprets, and one person that they do the songs, and one person that interprets the preaching, and another person he teaches a Bible class, and another person they visit and bring deaf people, and another person they drive the van and pick up the deaf people, and other, and all of these people. You can't say, look what I did. You can't say that. It's not my ministry. It's not your ministry. It's God's work. There are many, many, many different ministries, but there's one mission. It's what God wants. And we focus on His work. So the Bible says, I have planted and Apollos watered, but God gave the increase. A farmer, when he gets out, he goes out and he hoes and he takes the seeds. He takes the seeds and he puts them down there and he covers them all up. But there's a limit to what a farmer can do. He can plant, but somebody else needs to put the water on there. God needs to put that water on there. A farmer cannot force the plants to grow. And in the same way, you and I can tell somebody about Jesus Christ, but it is God's work to help them be saved. God borrows your hands. You give them to Him and say, "Here are my hands. What do you want me to do?" Be careful. If you take your hands and you give them to God, be careful, because God will use your hands. And sometimes it will surprise you, and sometimes you will be shocked, and sometimes you'll be scared, and sometimes you'll be nervous. This morning in teaching the classes, I got to teach. Okay, there are some nervous people here in this room. But God can use your hands for the ministry. It's God's work. He will give the increase. Maybe in the deaf ministry, you feel awkward. Who here is perfect sign language? Perfect. Oh, deaf, perfect. It was so sad one time. I asked a question. I was teaching a class actually. I was teaching class. I said, it was a deaf class. Okay, all deaf. I was teaching. I said, who is perfect? Who is perfect? And a deaf person said, hearing are perfect. It broke my heart. Many people are not perfect. There's no person in this room that is perfect. We're just all differing levels of lousy. That's true. I mean, some person's lousy more than others, you know. So don't judge who is worse lousy, okay? Really? God made a decision to use the people that are right here. Who is going to tell deaf people about Jesus Christ? You say, but I can't. My signs are lousy. I don't understand deaf culture. I feel like that the people they don't understand my ministry and they won't support me and they're not going to help me and people backstab me and I don't know and it's just so frustrating. It's just hard. There's a verse for that. But God hath chosen the foolish things of this world. Do you feel foolish sometimes? You're all right. Do you feel lousy sometimes? It's all right. Do you feel limited sometimes? That's all right, because He is going to get the glory from it. It's His work, it's not our work. You've come here to ASL Institute, and that's a wonderful thing. And the Deaf Bible Conference, and the teaching and the preaching, that's wonderful. That's so good. When we go home, we've got a lot of work to do. I say we. I've been teaching a lot of classes, but don't look at John Barr and say, oh, he's good. He's not. John Barr has a long way to go. I'm learning new spiritual principles every day, and sometimes I say, Lord, stop, it's enough right now. And sometimes I feel like people just misunderstand. They don't know. They don't understand. And sometimes I sigh and I turn and go, well, that was lousy. I'm limited just like you're limited. All of us need to take our hands and just say, God, here they are. I'm one of those foolish things of the world. Could you use me? Will you use me? The word use. You sign use. What do you sign? Use. Use. Okay? I'll give you a different sign. Okay? It's not a different sign. I mean, it's not, that's the word used. That's the sign for the word used. Let me show you this idea. God can use me. I should be there. I'm here. I say, God, use me. And God says, okay. Here. It's His choice. And God has put you in the right place for right now. And if God is calling you to a different place, God is calling you to a different ministry, to a higher level of ministry, to more service for Him, take your hands in your life and say, God, use me. Wherever. Maybe you're a hearing person here and you feel like God will never use me in the deaf ministry. I am such a lousy singer. I'm so they're all good. I'm lousy. Listen, you take your hands and your heart and you give them to God. And you watch what God will do. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. But God knows. And today, as we close ASL Institute and Deaf Bible Conference, there's a time when you can surrender yourself to God. We don't want only to teach sign language. That's not our purpose here. Our purpose is not only to help you learn more words and learn more Bible. Our purpose here is to help you serve God because you're needed. You're needed. And so we're going to close ASL Institute with this invitation. We're going to have the drawing later, but we're going to close this part of it. And let me ask you a question. Who would be willing to say, God, I want you to use me, so I give my hands to you? Would you be willing to say that? And if you're willing, maybe it's the first time ever in your life that you've never said that before, but now you're saying, I'm deaf, God, would you use me? Maybe you're a hearing person. God, will you use me? And God will say yes.